Hey everybody, and welcome to the Growth Experience Podcast. I am your host, Chris Dye. Our hope is that by listening to this podcast, you realize that you have a gift. And by believing in your gift, you can uncover your purpose and have vision for your life. Whether you're listening in your car, at home, or watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in, and let's go! Hey everybody, welcome to the Growth Experience Podcast, episode 17. Really excited today, super pumped about our guest. Before we get started, as always, I want to thank Community Land Title for sponsoring this episode. If you are looking for a full-service land title and escrow settlement provider there to protect your real estate investments, you have to call Community Land Title. When you work with their knowledgeable team, you'll be guided through the process in a transparent and timely way. Use them however often I can, because they just always take such good care of our clients, take such good care of our agents. Speaking of a small plug for real estate real quick, which I don't hardly ever do. I'm looking at Will. You guys know Will. The camera can't see Will, but I always just like point to him.
He's the invisible guest that's always there, but no one knows it.
I tell every single person that comes, he's been promoted. He was in the corner when we first started, now he's on the wall. But
do you kick him if he says something wrong?
Yes.
You're gonna kick him?
I hope you picked that up. He said yes. So anyways, yeah, the team is crushing it right now. Super proud of what we're doing in the real estate space, and obviously Community Land Title is a huge part of that. So shout out to Matthew Purdom and everybody there. Thank you guys so much. Tyler, Colleen, Abby, appreciate you. So yeah, without wasting any more time, I want to jump right in. Our guest today, this guy is literally all over the place. If you are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, he has been such an inspiration to me in how he treats people, what he believes, and how he has a passion to truly change people's lives. And so we've known each other for a few years now, and I was thinking about who to have on the podcast this week, and I couldn't think of anybody better than our first health and wellness expert, Sean Christopher. What's up, man?
Hey, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, you too, man.
Always a pleasure. Excited to do this.
Absolutely.
We need to change people's lives and educate them on
let's go
on a lot of stuff. So
I'm down.
Let's get at it, brother. Let's get at it.
I'm here for it. So this could be, a decently content-packed, longer episode.
Grab a notebook, grab a pen.
That's right.
Hide your kids and hide your wife.
That's right. Don't play this in 1.5 speed. Slow this baby down, because it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So, all right, man. I kind of just like with everybody. If you wouldn't mind just kind of kicking off your story, a little bit of background info on you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, do I look at the camera while I'm talking? Or
whatever you want.
Okay, I'll look at you.
Yeah. Look at me.
So I started this health journey about 10, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, no, I really started it when I was in college. I ate too much pizza and drank too much beer in college, and I got fat.
I feel you.
And so I looked at myself one day, and I was disappointed with what I saw in the mirror, and I knew I could change it, so I did. But it's a lot easier to change it when you're younger, right? You seem to have, we got more motivation, we have a lot less responsibilities, we have more time,
right?
And that's kind of what I try to help people with now, busy people that have kids, have families, have jobs, and teach you practical things to do that can help transform your life.
Sure.
But I went on that journey, and then I went through a really bad divorce, and it just messed me up, man. And mentally, I just checked out. And I got in a really bad place, and I went back to doing the exact things that I had been doing before that got me to where I was before. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same things and expecting different results, right? So I ballooned up again. I ballooned up to about 300 pounds. A good weight for me is about 220. I'm about 225 right now, but I ballooned up to about 300. And I was sitting on the porch with my dad before he passed away, and he's scrolling through pictures on his phone. He goes, "Oh, hey, look, that's that fish you caught the other week." And he shows me the picture, and I did not see the fish. All I saw is my big old gut hanging over my pants. And I was just ashamed of myself. I'm like, I'm better than this. Like, I don't have to let myself get like this. And I truly believe that we can choose to honor God with our body. There's so many different ways in our lives. Obviously, we can choose to honor God, but I truly believe that one of the ways we do that is with our body. God gave us our body, right? And if we don't take care of our body, we're kind of spitting in the face of God. Like, I don't care what you gave me. I'm just going to abuse it and do what I want. And so that's just my personal view. You know, not everyone has to believe that.
Yeah.
And so I started on a ketogenic diet. I had done keto before. Keto is the fastest way to lose weight quickly because it tricks our body into using stored fat for energy instead of glucose, and that's why keto works so good. So there is not a diet. There's tons of good diets on the planet, right? There's good ways to eat. There's not a diet on the planet that you will lose weight faster on than keto, and it's because our body taps into stored fat.
Right.
So I lost 90 pounds in only 4 months, right? And got in really good shape, and I was happy. I was excited, and I finally looked good. I was proud of myself again to look in the mirror. But that wasn't the end of my journey. A few months after that, I had a heart attack.
Wow.
And this
was in when you're in better shape.
Right, right. No, this was in better shape.
Yeah.
And what I didn't know at the time is I had been spending most of my life eating foods that were really bad for my heart.
Right.
And you can do keto. So my shtick, I guess, so to say, is I teach people how to do keto the right way, because you can do. So I'm sure you probably heard of the Atkins diet from years ago. And Atkins came out on the scene, and he said, eat all the bacon. Sausage, and steak you want, and you'll lose weight. Right. And that's a bunch of BS because you cannot eat like that and be healthy. It's really bad for your heart because you're putting a ton of saturated fat in your body. So I advocate a healthy fat-centric focus to keto, as well as a ton of organic fruits and vegetables, because that God has literally... And I just did a Facebook Live on this morning. God has literally given us everything in nature that we need to prevent and cure any sickness and disease. I have helped people reverse heart disease. I have helped people reverse cancer. I have helped people reverse diabetes. I've helped hundreds of thousands of people lose astronomical amounts of weight. Yeah. And it's just knowing what not to do and what to do. And we can certainly talk about that. But that was my journey. My journey was I got in a really bad place. I needed a change. But here's what's interesting for those watching. And this is why I encourage you to reach out to someone like me. I'm certainly not the only authority. There is a lot of bad information out there, though, I'll tell you, because it took me 2 years to finally figure out how to do keto in a way that really effectively got it off. Sure. And I didn't keep yo-yoing. Yeah. And so once I figured that out, ironically, how this all started is when COVID hit, I had nothing to do. Yeah. And I was sitting around my apartment this one day. I was like, why don't I just start doing videos and educating people on keto? Mm-hmm. And I kind of was a little bit half-assed about it, to be honest, because I didn't think it was going to work, right? I was like, I see all these people posting videos, and it's they're the ones that get all the attention. Surely not me, right?
That's that imposter syndrome. Yeah, I deal with.
Yeah, I can't do that, And I had a good buddy. Shout out to Anthony Simmons if he happens to watch this, because this dude, little does he, well, I've told him, but he transformed my life because he challenged me. He said, Sean, he goes, you're good, bro. He goes, you're good on camera. You're good at speaking. You're super knowledgeable. He goes, just keep doing it and don't give up. Because I'd post videos and I'd get like 100 views, 200 views, and I'd be like, oh, crap, this sucks. Right. And the funny thing is a gal that is a good friend of mine who teaches people this stuff, she said something to me a couple weeks ago, because we were kind of joking about this, because now I'm up to 800,000 followers, which is freaking nuts, bro. Right. It's nuts. The fact that God has given me that influence, I do not take that lightly. Yeah. And it blows me away. And every day I pray and ask him just to give me the right words to say to people. But she said something interesting to me. And anyone who's trying to build a following on social media that might be watching this, I would encourage you. Because I was complaining about getting the 100 to 200 views, right?
Hold on, let me take notes.
She goes, what? She goes, let me ask you a question. She goes, if you walked into a room and there was 100 people in that room, she goes, would you be ecstatic? I was like, hell yeah, I'd be ecstatic. Right. She goes, then why do you feel like it's any different on social media? I was like, ooh. She goes, if you're getting 100 to 200 views, that's 200 views more than anyone else is getting. Right. I was like, okay. So I kept at it, and one day I had a TikTok video hit a million views, and it just took off from there. And I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. My biggest following is on Facebook for whatever reason, and also Clapper, YouTube Shorts, and then also Pinterest as well. Okay. But that's kind of my background story and how I got involved in doing this, and I get the privilege every day of helping to save people's lives, and it's a really big deal because people are doing stuff that they just don't know they shouldn't be doing. Right. That are literally killing them. I mean, it's literally that serious. The foods that we're eating are literally killing people. Yeah. So
I watched your video on. Because I've got little kids, right?
Yeah.
Four kids.
Yeah.
And I watched your video on like goldfish and Cheerios. And
goldfish and Cheerios have high amounts of weed killer in them. People just don't know that. Right. And for those watching that want to, I get negative. It's so funny, bro. The funniest thing about doing this is I get so many negative comments. People are like, you're stupid, you're crazy. Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Right.
But I mean, here's what I tell people: I'll give you the facts, and people, a lot of times I'll have people comment on some of my stuff, and say, "Well, prove it." No, you go prove it to yourself. Sure. I'm giving you the knowledge. It's not on me to prove it to. Right. But I always tell people where I get my information from. So there's a group of scientists called the Environmental Working Group. Their website is ewg.org. For those who are interested, and they did a very extensive study, and I actually just posted a video yesterday because there's a ton of other foods that have weed killer in them too. Mm-hmm. And basically, I'll give you the short list. There's a long list, but I'll give you the short list. Oreos, Cheerios, Honey Nut Cheerios, Goldfish Crackers, Nature Valley Granola Bars, Raisin Bran, Wheaties, what is the other one? I forget now. But all of those foods contain dangerously high amounts of weed killer in them. And the reason why the companies are using it's mostly General Mills. And yes, I don't mind calling out companies. One of these days, someone's going to show up at my door with a something. But I don't mind calling these people out because it's bullshit. Because you are giving us foods that are killing us, and our government's not going to do anything about it. But here's the thing: people always complain about that. Well, our government should do something. No, you should do something about it. It's not the government's job to.
It's a victim mindset.
It's a victim mindset.
That's so prevalent in our culture today on anything, whether it be food or weight loss or finances or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, Tony Robbins says we don't lack resources, we lack resourcefulness, and that's 100% accurate. So yeah, the weed killer thing is something I'm big on because we're giving that food to our kids, man. Like you just said, you watch that because you're like, man, I got kids.
Right.
So that's what bothers me the most. I mean, I have kids too, and when I see people giving this food, I mean, I don't think I go anywhere. I don't see some parent with their kid in a stroller eating goldfish crackers. It's just like, it's a thing, you know? It's like...
It's a staple.
Yeah. And so people need to know, like, you're actually feeding your kid weed killer. But then people go, oh, well, then what am I... There's nothing to eat. Oh, come on, guys. Again, resourcefulness, right? So, anyway.
No, I love that. And I've kind of gone through some of my own health stuff, too, right? Like, when I was getting ready for the military, I did kind of a... Actually, I did really hardcore paleo.
Oh, nice.
Because I needed to lose like 25 pounds.
Yeah.
And I've always been a bigger dude.
Yeah.
That's just my nature.
Yeah.
I gain weight super quickly.
Yeah.
So I did paleo, and I went to a CrossFit gym where the owners would teach us about paleo.
Oh, nice.
And the idiosyncrasies of that. And then, when I got in the military, I tore my ACL in my right knee, tore my entire labrum in my left shoulder.
Ooh.
So I had surgery on those, and went through my own kind of states of depression, legitimate depression, first time in my life.
You're trying to be like David Goggins and run
ultra
marathons?
Man. Yeah, no, I did not do that to mess myself up, but you'd think so. So yeah, I mean, that's always kind of, and this year you and I have linked up a couple times, and I'm like, look, kind of same deal, right? Looking at myself. Honestly, it was the first episode of this show.
Oh, because you saw yourself on video.
Yes. And I was like,
it's good, man.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it anymore.
Well, when I saw your mom the other week, a couple weeks ago, and she said, she's like, wow, you look great. Because ever since and I'll talk about this later in the show, but I quit drinking recently, and ever since I quit drinking, not only have I lost more weight, but I feel better, I look better, I have more energy, everything. I can't advocate it enough. It took me 20 years to make that decision, I'm not going to lie, and I'll be a little vulnerable about that later, but when I saw your mom, she's like, have you seen Chris? And I said, no, I haven't. She showed me your picture, I was like, damn! I said, bro, got sexy.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
So props to you, man. Props to you. Yeah. You're making the decision for you, but you're also making it for your family too.
Big time.
We have a response, and this is, if you have kids, guys, I can't emphasize this enough to people who are watching. We have a responsibility as parents. We can't take an apathetic role to food that we're giving our kids. It's very important. So we need to be responsible and know that it's on us. So what a lot of parents don't realize, and I'm not saying that, I guess I do say it to challenge you a little bit, to be honest, because some people get really offended when I say this. But wake up. Yeah. Wake up. Stop being so freaking passive all the time and just thinking anything goes. And you have a responsibility to give your kids. So we are setting our kids up for cancer, diabetes, heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, all those things. As parents, if you're not paying attention to the food that you're putting in your kid's mouth or that they're putting in their mouth, you are setting them up for sickness and disease. Now, I realize most people don't know that, and I don't say it to be judgy. I say it to challenge you to know that it's time to wake up, and it's time to stop being apathetic, and it's time to be responsible as adults and as parents, and start really saying, okay, I'm going to educate myself on this because this really matters.
Sure.
I'm not going to just walk in the grocery store and grab a bag of Doritos and think they're okay.
Right.
No, go to the grocery store, grab. So today I was last night. My girlfriend and I went to Rainbow Health Food Center in St. Matthews, and we were buying some bags of chips because she's new to this too. Mm-hmm. So like I'll never forget the first time I walked into her house and there was like Doritos and Oreos on the counter. I was like, Susan, I'm like, you are in big trouble. She's like, I didn't know. Yeah. But I'm like, you guys stop eating this. You gotta stop getting your kids. But that's just me, right? Yeah. And so we were at Rainbow last night, and I said to her, hey, come here, I want to show you something. So I said, pick up that bag of chips. There's a brand of chips called Siete. And I said, pick up that brand of chips. And I said, look at the ingredients on the back. Mm-hmm. And she looks and she goes, 4 ingredients. I said, read them to me. It was organic almond flour, sea salt, olive oil, and like one other thing. Yeah. And I said, that's real food.
Right.
I said, now go pick up a bag of Doritos and read the and they don't sell Doritos. And so I showed her I have a picture on my phone of the ingredients in a bag of Doritos. There's like 30 ingredients in a bag of Doritos, and half of them you can't even pronounce.
Yeah.
That's chemically engineered food that is engineered in a factory to hijack our taste buds so we become addicted to it, so we buy it more often. But half of the chemicals that are in Doritos is just one example. I could give you thousands of examples. Yeah. It's literally slowly killing us. Now, I say slowly because are you going to go out and eat a bag of Doritos and die? No. Right. But if you eat it consistently on a regular basis, you're going to slowly but surely start getting some health problems. Yeah. And I think that's a problem we have too. We're not forward thinking in our decisions. We think about what do we want now?
Yeah.
And then those decisions end up catching up with us,
Sure.
and we're screwed because we're sitting in a hospital bed and we wish we could have done it differently. Yeah. And that's my thing, man. Don't wait until it's too late. Right. Start now. And it's never too late either. Yeah. It's never too late.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things, right? So it's like, first and foremost, and you probably advocate for just education, right?
Yeah.
Some people just genuinely don't know.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And then
a lot of people don't. Yeah.
On the other, I'd say like step 2 is like, it's now lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So you know, right? Obviously, I know a banana is better for me than a bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
Right? And they get into carbohydrates and all that kind of stuff if you want to.
Yeah.
But, you know, ultimately, a banana, organic bananas, like you talked about organic fruits and vegetables, that's a naturally occurring fruit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then they know that.
Right.
But still out of convenience. Because the shelf life on Doritos is a lot better, right?
Exactly.
So,
well, I was just talking about that this morning. So I don't know if you ever saw this. There was a picture that was posted on Facebook. It's probably a couple years ago that it first surfaced for the first time. Someone took a picture of a Big Mac meal. They bought the Big Mac meal at McDonald's. They opened the whole meal up so it's sitting out, and they took a picture of it. And 10 years later, they took the same picture. It looked no different.
That's nuts.
That's the same thing as so processed food is what's killing us, right? Yeah. So this morning I did a Facebook Live. And I basically said, guys, if you want to prevent, because earlier in the week I said, hey guys, just so y'all know, there's no disease that is not either preventable or curable through diet. Right. And I had about 150 people say, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? I have a friend that has cancer. I have a family member that has diabetes. Someone I know has PCOS. I have this. And so I was like, oh, I didn't expect that much of a response to that post. So that's why I did my video today, because the answer is the same for it doesn't matter what it is, the answer is the same. Mm. Stay away from processed foods, eat better quality meat, and focus on eating a lot of organic fruits and veggies. Our diet should consist of 80% organic fruits and veggies. Mm. That's for optimal health, right? Because God's given us everything in nature. So we don't have to, and people say, oh, eating healthy is expensive. No, it's not. Yeah. You can buy a 5-pound bag of organic broccoli at Costco for $7. That's not expensive, folks. Right. You know how long that bag, but it's because the foods we eat are engineered and they're hijacking our taste buds, and we have to decide that I'm not going to put this in my body because I don't want to kill myself. Right. And then you retrain your taste buds, because you can retrain your taste 100%. Buds. Because I used to eat that shit all the time. I'm not going to lie. I used to eat that all the time.
Right.
And then finally I just woke the heck up and I'm like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to abuse my body. And so now I crave the healthy foods because I retrained my taste buds.
I'm
so
the same way.
If you're watching this and you feel like this is going to be too hard for you, it's not. You can retrain your taste buds. And plus, if you're a person of faith, man, you got the power of God living in you. Come on, don't make excuses for why you can't do something.
Let's go, bro.
Come on.
We're going there today. Absolutely. We get preacher Sean out here.
Yeah, well, it comes out once in a while.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of did the same thing, right? So I found a buddy of mine, and it depends on who you follow.
Right? 100%.
Like, you know, you can follow. I can name 3 people right now that tell you vegetables are bad for you and all you should eat is meat.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like,
yeah, I agree.
What you look for matters, and like you said, there's tons of diets out there.
Yeah.
Find a healthy one that you can stick to, right? What's the best diet? The one you can stick to, right? And still achieve your goals and be healthy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, I kind of did the same thing. A buddy of mine does isogenics. I drink a vegetable every single morning, right? It's this moringa tree. I did my own research. Supposedly one of the most nutrient-dense plants on the planet.
Yeah, it is.
And, well, confirmed. So I drink that every single morning.
Nice.
And the first day I drank it, I texted him. I was like, bro, I had to literally choke this thing down.
Oh, yeah, it tastes disgusting. You got to mix it in something. I put it in a smoothie.
Yeah, see, I just water, 8 ounces, smack it.
Oh, it's disgusting.
And it's bad.
You just want to die.
It's chunky and gross. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But the taste, still the texture is a little funky for me, right?
Yeah.
But the taste I've become accustomed to.
Okay.
And so now every single morning, my body craves that first thing in the morning.
Yeah, because you need the nutrients.
Yeah.
So let me touch on something you just said, and I'm just going to talk factual science, right? I'm not going to talk my opinion. I'm just going to talk factual science. So the carnivore people kind of annoy me, to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you why. I understand where they're coming from, and they make a lot of valid points. But if you want to talk factual science, it's impossible for there to be as much nutrients in meat as in the vegetable itself. Now, they say, carnivore people say, now I've done carnivore before, and I like it, because I like my meat. Don't get me wrong. I like my meat. I'll eat the hell out of some steak, man.
Right.
I mean, I could eat ribeyes every day and be happy because I love my ribeye. But the thing is what the carnivore people say is that you're getting enough nutrients in the meat because the animals eat the plants. Theoretically speaking, yes, that's somewhat true. However, you're not going to possibly get as many nutrients. If you sit down, I'll give you an example, right? Dark leafy greens have more antioxidants in them than any other food on the planet. That's spinach, kale, arugula, chard, dandelion. Dark leafy greens have more antioxidants than any other food on the planet, okay? So I follow a doctor. His name is Dr. Esselstyn. He is one of the most intelligent individuals I've ever known in my life. And he taught me something that I have since taught to numerous clients, and it is how to reverse heart disease. People that have heart disease can eat 6 servings a day of dark leafy greens, and it will reverse heart disease in the body. Now, they have to eliminate all the crap they were eating that's causing the heart disease, but 6 servings a day of dark leafy greens will reverse heart disease in the body. A buddy of mine had a heart attack a couple years ago. He came to me, he said, what do I do? I said, 6 servings a day of dark leafy greens. He goes, that's it? I said, but stop eating the shit that you're putting in your body right now.
Right.
He's like, so if I stop eating the stuff that I've been eating and do that, that'll take care of it. I said, yeah. And 3 months later, his blockages were completely cured. So the facts speak for themselves, right? This guy had blocked arteries, had a massive heart attack, 6 servings a day of dark leafy greens for 3 months, and his arteries are completely clean.
Wow.
So you can't eat meat and do that. I'm sorry. You cannot eat meat and do that. And I'm not an advocate against meat. I love meat.
Right.
But veggies have, for pound, or ounce for ounce, or whatever you want to say, veggies have more nutrients in them than any food on the planet. Blueberries would be second to high antioxidant count.
Right.
So whenever you're eating something that has a high amount of antioxidants, that's bringing cellular healing to your body from a cellular level, not just healing your body just overall, but from a cellular, so that you can't get any deeper than a cellular level.
Sure.
And I'm also a big advocate of juicing too. I juice so you do the moringa. I get up in the morning, I juice celery, cucumber, turmeric, ginger, lemon, and beets. And that's every morning, that's my drink. Every single morning. That's how I start my day. And I intermittent fast a lot. We can talk about that at some point.
Yep.
I don't eat till late in the day for lunch, and then I'll eat dinner. But getting those nutrients in our body is crucial. And there's a lot of science too. Let's talk about disease for a minute. So, by the way, for those watching, many people don't know this. Alzheimer's and dementia is actually type 3 diabetes. It is a form of diabetes, and many people do not know that. It is simply insulin resistance in the brain because we're eating too much sugar and too many carbs, simple carbs. Carbs are not bad, by the way. I'm a big keto person, but carbs are not bad. I do not advocate eating keto all the time. We need good, healthy carbs. So I'm talking quinoa,
we're going there
potatoes.
next because I'm curious.
Okay, yeah. So I'll pause then. But so for sickness and disease, for cancer, diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, all those diseases, all of those are preventable and curable through eating a nutrient-dense diet. And you can't get more nutrient-dense than fruits and vegetables. There was a study done that showed that pomegranates actually killed cancer cells in the body. By the way, everyone has cancer cells in their body. What you eat either feeds those cancer cells or leaves them benign. Every time, please listen to me when I say this, for those of you watching. Every time you put sugar in your body, you are saying, I want to get cancer. That is literally what you are saying. Man. Every time you put sugar in your body, you're saying, I want to get cancer.
Processed sugars.
Any of it.
Like fruit.
Fruit's not bad. No, fruit's not bad. But what, mostly processed sugars, yes. But there's arguments for eating even too much fruit can spike glucose and insulin in the body, and that's not good for either. But there's a lot of fruit that actually does cure
low
cancers.
Glycemic fruit.
Right, low glycemic fruits. Yep, low glycemic fruits, yeah. But
see, I know a little.
Yeah, but the sugar, what happens is the sugar enters our body, and the cancer cells see the sugar, they eat the sugar, and the cancer cells grow. Wow. So if you're eating sugar, now, guys, I'm not, we don't need to be extreme. I'm not saying you have to 100% give it up. Although, if you're serious about taking your health back, you should 100% give it up. Because let's be honest, we say we're going to have stuff in moderation. That's a bunch of BS. We don't.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah, no, honestly, me either. No, Chris, me either.
And that's why
I have to cut it out. That's why I cut out alcohol. 100%. I had to completely cut it out. Because when I about a month ago, I told my girl, I said, I think I'm going to quit alcohol. She's like, that's great, babe. Because she doesn't drink, so it makes it easier. Sure. And so I quit for a couple of weeks. And then we went to the bar this one time. I said, I'm just going to have 2 beers. 2 beers. She looks at me. She goes, okay. Mm-hmm. 8 beers later, that was a whole different story. And then the next day I did the same thing. I'm like, I have to just completely cut it out. I have to. So
Kelsey and I, we cut out. I'm bad. So I've lost 30 pounds since the beginning of the year.
Nice.
I did a lot of intermittent fasting.
Okay.
Like Isogenics promotes like autophagy phase of fasting to where I call it Cleanse Day Wednesday, to basically I don't eat after Tuesday night at dinner,
nice.
And then I eat like Thursday. I break it with like a shake, right?
Oh, nice.
Their whey protein, which I really enjoy. But the we didn't eat any processed sugars for the entire month of April.
Okay.
And then you have the holidays and the birthdays and the things that you think about and you look forward to, right? Yeah. And so for Mother's Day, we bought both of our mothers some Nothing Bundt cakes, right? Which are sinful.
Those are insane.
Just so soft.
Yeah,
anyway,
the red velvet one.
Yeah, that's what we got her mom, right? And mine was the white chocolate raspberry, I think.
Oh, I love that one too.
Stupid. But so I had like one piece of each, right?
Yeah.
And then so this was 2 weeks ago. That whole week, every day I had something sugary in it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I cannot do this.
Yeah.
Like I have to just say no.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you why that happens, okay? Because everyone says to me, I can't break this addiction. I can't break this addiction. Well, first of all, if you'd stop telling yourself you can't do it, you would be able to do it. That's mindset number one.
An addiction, it legitimately.
So we have everyone. No one is reclusive to this. Everyone has a intestinal yeast overgrowth in their gut. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anytime you eat sugar or any form of simple carbohydrate, so breads, pasta, cereal, muffins, cake, stuff like that, anytime you eat something like that, you are feeding the intestinal yeast overgrowth in your gut and you're making it larger. Just like the cancer thing, right? Yeah. That's what creates the cravings. Mm. So that's what makes people crave sugar, crave donuts, crave stuff like that, stuff they really shouldn't be eating on a regular basis, right? It's because they're feeding the intestinal yeast overgrowth. So the only way to kill the intestinal yeast overgrowth is to, one, starve it, but also put foods in your body that are actually killing it. So cinnamon and turmeric are actually 2 spices that help kill the intestinal yeast overgrowth. So I always tell my clients, put cinnamon in your coffee, take a good turmeric supplement. It has to have black pepper in it to be absorbed properly by the body. But taking those couple things, MCT oil, you probably heard of that, because bulletproof coffee is a big thing.
Like coconut oil.
MCT oil.
Chain triglycerides.
Yeah, that's really good for the intestinal yeast overgrowth too. But so we can do things to, again, retrain our body to do healthier things. So you've abused your body for all these years. You're craving all this bad stuff. You just got to put your foot down and say, all right, I'm going to change it. I'm gonna starve the addiction that's in my body, and I'm gonna add things that are gonna help me to cure it. Mm-hmm. So you're not on your own in doing it. There's supplements you can take that'll kill the intestinal yeast overgrowth, and as you begin to kill the intestinal yeast overgrowth, your body will completely turn, and you just won't have the cravings anymore. That they will go away. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I say that because I want people to know it's not like just you're 100% on your own. You got to use your willpower to stop the cravings.
There are things you can do.
Right, there's things you can do and supplements you can take that'll kill the intestinal yeast overgrowth, and the cravings will go away. So it's a big deal.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay, so I do want to talk about this because I'm glad to hear you say this. Mom and I talk about keto a lot.
Okay,
and I believe in it, especially for the processed foods.
Yeah.
But I've always struggled with should you do it all the time?
No. Okay.
No,
absolutely,
why not?
Absolutely not. Because carbs are good for you. Good, healthy
carbohydrate.
Carbs. Right. Carbohydrates are good for you. They're not bad for you. But the problem is we choose to eat the bad carbohydrates.
Right.
So we're eating the cookies, we're eating the cake, we're eating the white bread, we're eating the bagels, we're eating all the wrong ones. That's the problem. And it's because, but again, here's the thing. It's the reason why that happens is I say this to people, so I want you to know it's not like you just suck and you have no willpower. When you eat that stuff, you're feeding that intestinal yeast overgrowth and you just crave it more often. So the more you eat it, the more you crave it.
Right.
So carbohydrates are not bad for you in any way, shape, or form. I eat carbohydrates all the time. I mean, I work out every day. I do a 20-mile bike ride every day to start my morning. Sometimes on the weekends I do 50 miles. So I need energy. Now, you could argue that you can... I know some athletes that completely feed their bodies through a keto diet.
Dude, did you know Tim Tebow does keto all the time?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. So there are athletes that claim that they can completely fuel their body through keto. I can't. So when I am doing longer endurance type activities, I have to have carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So, but there's good healthy carbohydrates, right? Quinoa, brown rice. Well, and I'll tell you something interesting in a minute. There's a trick to actually make unhealthy carbs a healthy carb. Y'all are gonna love this. So sweet potatoes. Oh shoot, what's the other one that I love so much? I can't think of it. But anyways, there's so many different healthy carbs that we can put in our body. When I advocate keto for people is if you need to lose weight, if you want, not necessarily need, if you need or want to lose weight fast, we talked about this before we started. There's no better way to do it than keto, because keto tricks your body into using stored fat for energy, and it burns it at a very rapid pace because it has nothing in the body to use for energy other than stored fat, so it burns it fast. If you follow my keto plan, supereasyketofatloss.com. If you follow my keto plan, you will lose about 30 pounds in a month, and you'll consistently lose that if you stick to what I teach. And so, but here's the hack, right? So the reason why these simple carbohydrates mess up our body is because they cause insulin to spike in the body. Right. So when we put glucose into our bodies, it causes insulin to spike. Whenever insulin is spiked in the body, what we're doing is the same thing with the sugar and the cancer. We're telling our bodies we want to get fat, right? Anytime we put food in our bodies that spikes insulin, we're saying, I want to gain weight. That's essentially what you're saying. And people need to understand that when you do this is what this means.
That's a very simple way to put it, so that it makes sense.
Yeah, just a simple way to make sense, right?
Yeah.
If you put sugar in your body, you're saying, I want to get cancer. If you put sugar and simple carbs in your body, you're saying, I want to get fat. That's the decision you're making. So with the carbs, though, it's really interesting. With bread, with bread and with potatoes and with rice, with the rice and the potatoes, if you cook it and store it in the fridge overnight, it creates what's called a resistant starch. It takes a starch that would spike glucose high and spike insulin, and it actually turns it into a resistant starch by keeping it in the fridge overnight. Yeah. So if you heat it back up the next day, it won't spike your insulin levels nearly as much as it would had you just eat it from a cooked state. Yeah. With bread, you just got to put it in the freezer overnight and take it out the next day, and now it's a resistant starch.
Like Ezekiel bread and stuff like that?
Well, yeah. Now, speaking of bread, Ezekiel bread is my favorite bread on the planet. Ezekiel bread is a sprouted grain bread. Right. Our bodies digest sprouted grains just as they would a vegetable. So Ezekiel bread doesn't have nearly as much of a negative glycemic impact on the body as, say, like a regular white bread would, or like an Italian bread or something like that. Right. Because Ezekiel bread is sprouted grain, so our body's digesting it as a vegetable. It's not digesting it as a carbohydrate. Right. It's digesting it as a vegetable. Now, Ezekiel bread happens to be frozen because it is so nutrient dense that it needs to stay frozen to stay fresh, right? Sure. That's why. But it's the same principle where you could take a loaf of Italian bread. Now, I don't advocate doing this all the time because most people still can abuse this. Oh, Sean told me I can freeze my bread and it won't hurt me. I'm going to eat 3 loaves of bread a week. Yeah. So if you go out to a bakery and buy a loaf of Italian bread, put it in the freezer overnight, take it out the next day, cut it, eat it, and it creates the resistant starch. Just don't abuse it. Don't do it on a regular basis. But like I said, there's so many good healthy carbs. Fruit is great for us. I never advocate people never eating fruit. Apples and bananas and grapes are actually 3 of the best fruits that cleanse our liver. And if you are not focused on cleansing your liver, you may struggle to lose weight because our liver is the main organ in the body that actually burns fat. Yeah. So I always tell people, I believe in a cyclogenic approach to keto, right? Where I'll do keto for a couple weeks and then I'll go a couple weeks eating a lot more complex carbs, fruit, stuff like that. My body does really well with that because I need that good, healthy stuff in my body.
Right.
There's a particular carb that I'm just drawing a blank on. I can't think of the name of it, but I don't know. It's on one of my videos if they go to my page, but it actually is shown in numerous studies to prevent cancer. So there's a lot of benefits to eating good, healthy carbs. But the problem that people make is their version of carbs is the sugary stuff, the candy, the cookies, the breads, the pastas, all that stuff.
Right.
And that is the stuff that you really just got to keep to a minimum because you're just destroying your health by eating that stuff.
And I love that you said my body responds really well to this.
Yeah, because
right?
everyone's different.
And that's what you do as well. You coach people individually too, right?
On an individual basis. Yeah, because everyone's different. And I try to cater, I do group coaching as well as one-on-one coaching, and I try to cater it to people's individual needs because everyone has different likes or dislikes. I mean, I had a client that came to me a while back and was like, the only meat I'll eat is turkey. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I just sent her 60 turkey recipes. I was like, okay. But, whatever. Eat what you got to eat. The key to keto is, I'll tell you the key to the ketogenic diet, and that is just focusing on eating fattier cuts of meat because it helps keep you in ketosis. Because just plain protein without fat can actually spike insulin in the body. So you want to stick to fattier cuts of meat. But I mentioned earlier that the type of meat you eat is important. So if you don't mind, let me just touch on that for a quick second. So most this is just going to blow people away, and I hope I'm not information overloading people. Guys, start small. Make one change at a time. Right. You're not going to make all these changes. You're like, man, Sean's telling me I can't eat this, I can't eat this, I can't eat this. What do I do? Just make one change at a time. Yeah. Just make one change at a time. So most of the meat we buy in the grocery store is horrible for us. It's been pumped full of all kinds of chemicals and steroids and all this crap. And the feed. So people don't realize this. You've heard the phrase, you are what you eat. No, you are what you eat eats. You are what you eat eats. If you're eating steak, you are what that cow ate. If you're eating chicken, you are what that chicken ate. What do they eat? We don't know most of the time because we don't give a damn because we're not paying attention.
Right.
So with beef, I only buy locally. I shop at a farmer. There's a number of farmers markets here in town. Here in Louisville, I go to the farmers markets to buy most of my food for vegetables and meat because all the local farmers are at the farmers market, right? There's a farm here in Louisville, in Shepherdsville actually, called Bluegrass Farms. Huge fan of Bluegrass Farms. But I am going to the farm to buy my meat, and I'm going to the farmer's market to buy my meat and my veggies.
Okay.
Interesting fact about veggies. Again, I hugely advocate veggies, but if you go to a grocery store, the shelf life is they've already been being transported for about 2 weeks. As soon as a vegetable is picked, it immediately begins to lose its nutrients because it's disconnected from its source.
Right.
I won't preach on that one right now because I'm really tempted to.
That's a good one.
Because as soon as it is disconnected from its source, it begins to lose its quality.
Right.
Whew, man, I can preach on that one, brother. But but that's what happens with a fruit or vegetable when it's picked. It immediately loses nutrients. So when you buy it from a grocery store, it's been losing nutrients for about 2 weeks.
Right.
If you go to a farmer's market, it's probably been picked either that morning or that evening, and so it has a ton more nutrients in it than anything you're going to buy in a grocery store.
Yeah.
So if you start going to the farmer's market every Saturday or Sunday morning and you start buying food there, I promise you within a few weeks you're going to be like, holy cow, my energy levels are up. I feel better. My skin's looking better. You're going to be like, I can't even believe it. It's because it has so much more nutrients in it. And it's the same for the meat. So the USDA actually released this study, and I was shocked that the USDA actually released this study, and this is going to creep some people out, but I'm just going to throw all this stuff at you, and y'all do what you want with it.
Let's go.
70% of ground beef sold in a grocery store has high levels of feces in it. 70% of ground beef. It's disgusting. So you're literally eating like shit. But it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And so that's why, and again, it has all kinds of junk in it that shouldn't be there. And it's just because it's just the quality of it. It's where they get it from. It's all a money thing. You and I know this. Our world is driven by money. It's all a money thing. And so,
which honestly, like, we go to a local butcher.
That's the other thing I do too is go to local. There's actually a butcher here in town called Red Hog Butcher on Frankfurt Avenue, and I'm a huge fan of Red Hog Butcher. So shout out to them and shout out to Bluegrass
Boons, baby, Boons. If you're anywhere in Nelson County or even surrounding
Boons
Butcher Shop's the bomb.
Nice.
But when you compare, like, you think that it's going to be astronomical prices,
right? It's not
on these private companies, right?
Correct.
They're really not.
No.
Like, they're very comparable, if not the same.
I 100% agree with you.
As
And I always tell
going
people, too, you can get organic grass-fed beef at Aldi's, Walmart, all these places for very good prices.
Yep.
It's just a little bit more
Right.
than the other stuff. And it's just, guys, here's the thing, for those watching this, listening, whatever, our world has changed a lot over the years. It has. It's just the world we live in, and we have to adapt to the world that we live in.
Right.
And guys, 80% of the ingredients that are in processed foods are no, I'm sorry, not 80%. Most all of the ingredients that are in processed foods that we buy here in the United States are banned in 80 different countries. 80 different countries, but not the United States. And again, don't go blaming the government. Just take some responsibility to figure your own shit out. Don't blame it on the government all the time. Because guess what? The government ain't never going to do nothing about it.
Right.
Because they're in the pockets of all these people anyways, and they're in the pockets of the food industry, the medical industry. That's why we go to medicine first and foremost. But people think I'm crazy because I tell you to eat spinach to get rid of heart disease, but it makes sense to go to a doctor and have him shove a bunch of medicine down your throat that when you watch a commercial on TV, it says this medicine could heal your heart. But it might cause you to lose your numerous body parts, and you could go into convulsions, and your hair might fall out, and you'll never be able to have sex with your wife again. And, but it might heal your heart. That's just medicine. Yeah. That's just medicine, man. And nothing against the doctors and nurses out there. I've gotten in numerous discussions. I maybe there were more arguments, but we'll call them discussions with doctors and nurses. I had a nurse friend of mine the other day post. She was looking for a solution for this health issue she had, and I told her what to do. She goes, "Oh no," she goes, "I have to have medicine." No, you don't. Medicine treats the symptom. It doesn't treat the root cause of the symptom. Medicine treats the symptom. It doesn't treat the root cause. So I'm trying as hard as I can, and I will scream this forever, is we have to understand that food is medicine. And we treat food as solely for pleasure. That's why there's billions and billions of restaurants out there.
Right.
And someone asked me on my Facebook the other day, what do I get at a restaurant? Nothing. I mean, I'm just going to call a spade a spade. I mean, most restaurants do not serve quality food. And I don't care how expensive the restaurants are. Most don't. Now, I love like the farm-to-table restaurants. Those are really good. But most restaurants don't serve quality food. They're buying the they're buying the cheapest food that they can buy because they're trying to make the most amount of money. So if you want to be healthy, just go out to eat less. Sorry, restaurants, but you know it just
makes sense.
It is what it is.
Kelsey and I have talked about a lot, and plus the amount of money that you spend on restaurants, especially right now, it's astronomical. So you can funnel that back into your budget to have healthier foods.
Absolutely. Someone the other day, someone said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry. I really want to do your coaching, but I can't afford it." And I said, "How much money did you spend on going out to eat last month?" I just call people out because I don't give a shit whether you give me your money or not. I don't need your money. I have 100 people waiting to have me coach them. So one person doesn't matter to me. I do care though, genuinely, because I care about people. That's just how God's wired me. I care about your health. And I know that you're making a bad decision because where we spend our money is what we value. Right? That's a given. Where we spend our money, you want to see what you value, look at your bank statement, and you'll see where your values are. It's as plain and simple. And so if you're going to restaurants all the time, you're going to convenience stores and buying junk snacks, and you're doing this, and that just shows where our values are. And so it's just a value thing. Like, people have to understand, like, if I want to take my health back, I have to prioritize that over all the stuff I'm doing right now that's fun, but that is destroying my health. So is it fun going to I mean, I haven't gone to a restaurant in probably 2 months, to be honest with you. I used to still go, to be honest with you, but I have a new, stronger commitment to being more healthy than I ever have before, because I just believe that God's calling me into a new season of my life where I really just need to step up to the plate. So for the most part, I did pretty good, but I still would go to restaurants probably a little bit more than I should because it's fun. But I just felt like I was saying, are you ready to be all in or not? And frankly, maybe if you're watching this right now, maybe that's exactly what God's asking you. Are you ready to go all in or not? Because if we go all in, then we can have the life that God, the amazing life that God has for us. But we kind of go about things a little bit half-assed. We say, I'll dabble in this, and I'll dabble in this, and I'll dabble in this. I'll pray once a week. I'll eat good food twice a week. But man, when you go all in, I can't even tell you, man. That's the sweet stuff right there, man.
I love it.
That's the sweet stuff.
I got one more food question for you,
all right,
and then we'll push forward because I think this applies in a lot of different ways. So I decide I want to do keto. I'm going to keep my net carbs under 20, 30 grams. Is that accurate?
Yep.
And so, but now, in order to kind of help supplement what I'm losing in my breads and this and that, I'm buying, and I'm just asking, right? I'm buying the 1 gram net carb hamburger buns
Yep.
and the low carb tortillas and things that should offset but still give me the experience of having those foods, good or not good?
It's fine for the most part. However, Mission Low Carb. So I have a blood glucose monitor. It's called Mojo Meter. And what I started doing, just for curiosity's sake, is I started testing my blood glucose levels after I ate some of the quote-unquote low-carb foods. Mission, I don't know what it's called, Mission tortillas, whatever it is. I'm sure you've heard of them.
Yep.
Those significantly spike glucose in the body, and they're low carb. This says there's 1 gram of carbs. So I ate a Mission tortilla, my glucose went through the roof. I was like, holy cow.
Right.
So that surprised me, because I kind of took them for, oh, sure, they say low carb, so it must be, right? But then I started thinking, I'm like, there's no way all this low carb stuff is actually low carb. So I started testing some of it, and some of it wasn't actually low carb.
But if you put that on TikTok, woo, that'd be intense.
That's actually a good idea. I actually should do that now that you say that.
Yeah.
That's actually, I didn't think about that. That's a good idea. But yeah, so it's so again, you just got to kind of use wisdom. I tell people, if you want to foolproof it, just eat meat and veggies. I mean, that's it. Meat, seafood, and veggie.
Right.
Salmon's really good to eat, and there's all kinds of fish that's good to eat. But I say stick to meat, seafood, and veggies. That's the foolproof way to do keto, where you're going to have 100% results. Yeah. Now, I've tested some of the low-carb rolls, and they're fine.
Like Lewis Bakery.
Yeah, Lewis is actually very good. Okay. Yeah, Lewis does not spike insulin.
I just bought those.
Yeah, they're
just
good
to try them because I never had them.
Yeah.
And
now, do they have some stuff in them you probably shouldn't be eating? Yes, because it's a processed food, right? It's a processed keto food.
100%. Yeah.
But for those who really want to have some carbs, that are used to eating carbs, yes, absolutely do that, because you're not. It's not like you're going to have 3 rolls a day or something.
Right.
You're maybe going to have a roll with your burger for lunch, or a roll with your burger for dinner, or something like that.
My favorite is breakfast sandwiches. Like,
me too.
That's kind of
me too.
Vice for me.
Yeah,
like,
I'm the same way.
Which if I'm fasting, normally I skip the breakfast. And break with the shake, but man, it's hard to beat a good breakfast sandwich.
Well, and you can make there's a type of bread called cloud bread, is the name of it, and you can make cloud bread and use that for your breakfast sandwich. And it's basically just eggs and cheese is what it is.
Like a chaffle.
Yeah. Chaffles are delicious. I love chaffles.
Do you follow Mark Bell?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does chaffles all the time.
Yeah, I love chaffles. Yeah. Chaffles are one of my favorite foods on the planet. And for those watching, chaffles are literally just eggs and cheese. Yeah. That's it. And sometimes a little bit of almond flour. Yeah. But they're delicious. But yeah, so that, yes, it's okay. It's just you do got to use a little bit of wisdom with it, and follow someone like me who tests this stuff and knows whether or not it spikes insulin or not. And just, I always tell people, keep it to a minimum, don't abuse it, because I've had clients that aren't losing weight, and I found out they were just eating way too many of the quote-unquote low-carb breads, and that's what was
diet sodas and
things
like just still mess with your gut and things.
Diet sodas wreak havoc on your gut. I mean, and that's a whole other thing that we can do, gut health. So let me just, there's so much we can talk about, bro.
Yeah, I know it.
So I'll share this with you, because I battled anxiety and depression for many years. And there was a time where, I don't think I was ever suicidal, but I remember laying in my bed one night and literally just saying, God, please take my life. I don't want to be here anymore. And I'll never, because my life got to that low of a point. And for years and years and years and years, I have heard people preach that depression is a chemical imbalance in the brain, right? Depression, anxiety, it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. It is, but it's a chemical imbalance in the brain caused by the foods that we eat. Our gut is they call our gut our second brain. Serotonin and dopamine are made in the gut based on the type of foods we eat. It's made in the gut, and it's transported to the brain. It's not made in the brain. It's made in the gut, and it's transported to the brain. So the foods that you eat determine whether or not you're going to have anxiety and depression or not. So people that suffer from a lot of anxiety and depression, 9 times out of 10 are putting a lot of processed foods in their body, not putting any good foods that are gut healthy foods, and it's causing really bad anxiety and depression. It breaks my heart when I see people do that. I have a friend of mine that just posted on Facebook the other day. She's like, this depression's killing me, and she posted a picture of herself eating a bag of Cheetos. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I knew someone that had cancer a while ago that actually passed away from cancer, and they were eating a tub of ice cream every night. And I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus, y'all don't, do you know what you're doing? You're killing yourself. And so it just breaks my heart when I see that, but that's why I'm on a mission to educate people. And not everyone's going to listen to me, but those that do could save their life, So anyways, it's really important. Gut health is really important. It also determines how much weight you lose too, because if you don't have good gut health, you're also going to struggle a little bit. So gut health and liver health are 2 very, very key components in weight loss.
Gotcha. No, I love it, man. This has been so good.
Yeah, no,
I
love talking about this stuff.
It's already been almost an hour. I can't.
Has it really? Yeah. Oh my God.
No, this is so.
Oh, you know me, bro. I can talk.
Both of us. That's why this is dangerous. And so, all right. we could talk about that all day.
Yeah.
But I want to push into kind of the more vulnerable spot that we talked about before we started.
Oh, yeah.
You touched on at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I'd say this literally every single week on the show. I believe that this show was created because there's connection and vulnerability.
Yeah.
Right? So when somebody hears this, they're like, oh, there's no way I could have 800,000 followers. There's no way. Like, everybody's dealing with their own demon, right?
Yeah.
And so you talked about alcohol being a large vice in your life for a long time.
Yep.
How did... Not necessarily how did it start, like you were just like alcoholism or anything like that, but like, what's the journey for you involving alcohol and your decision to stop?
Well, alcohol was my medication, to be honest with you. And there's nothing worse you can put in your body for anxiety and depression than alcohol. My heart attack that I had, probably a big part of it was caused by alcohol. I had something called atrial fibrillation, which is the top part of my heart beats faster than the bottom.
Right.
And alcohol significantly speeds up your heart rate. And I didn't even know this until I had my heart attack. My doctor asked me, do you drink? And I said, yeah. And she said, do you want to know that Thanksgiving and Christmas are the 2 days of the year we see more people die than any other day of the year, and because they're drinking excessive amounts of alcohol for the holidays, and more people show up in the hospital on Thanksgiving and Christmas than any other day of the year because of the alcohol abuse, and they have a heart attack and they die. I was like, holy shit, I just didn't know that.
Right.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize alcohol. I mean, listen, in theory, did I know that alcohol is bad for me? Yes. I mean, alcohol is poison. It is literally, if you research, if you really do take the time to research alcohol,
Andrew
it's poison.
Huberman says that, like,
Yes, I love him.
and doesn't matter what amount of, like, it's not good for you.
Even 1 to 2 drinks a day is bad for you. Even 1 to 2 drinks a day. As soon as, and that's when I knew I had to quit.
Yeah.
Because I lowered myself down to like 1 or 2 drinks a day, and I was like, "Well, shit, I just got to completely cut it out."
Yeah.
But I will say this, and I have to plug my girlfriend Susan, and she'll probably smile big when I tell her this, but having the right support system is the biggest thing, man. Having someone that loves you and cares about you and truly loves you unconditionally.
Right.
When her and I met, she didn't drink when we met, and she's gonna laugh when I tell this story. So we met. I knew her from Facebook, and I thought, oh, she's hot. I want to meet her.
Yeah.
And so I messaged her this one night. I'd known her on Facebook for like a couple weeks, and I messaged her this one night. I was like, hey, I go, why don't you meet me for a drink sometime? And she said, she told me no. I was like, damn, that was hard.
Right.
She goes, nah, sorry. I said, nah, come on, meet me for a drink. She goes, I just got home and I was like, come on. I was persistent because I just, there was something about her that I recognized was different, and I just wanted to meet her, And so, and by the way, I'll tell you the most important prayer you could ever pray is saying, God, I trust you with my life, and you do your thing in my life.
100%.
That's the biggest thing, man. And I said that I was at this. How I actually met her is this one day years ago. I was swiping on the stupid dating apps, having no luck, and I felt like God said to me, "Sean, why don't you trust me to bring you the right person?" I was like, "Ooh, okay." So I prayed and I waited. I know I'm getting a little off topic, but it's all we'll bring it all home. So I prayed and I waited. And for those of you that are praying for a significant other in your life, pray and wait on God. It's the magic, the good sauce is in the waiting, because that's when God's doing his best work, is when we're waiting. And I know it's hard to be patient. I get that. But this woman is the most amazing human being I've ever met in my life. And had I not trusted God and waited, I wouldn't have this relationship right now. So when her and I met, I talked her into finally meeting me. Thank you very much, Susan. I talked her finally into meeting me, and she goes, well, I'll tell you what. She goes, I'll meet you on one condition. She goes, you come to where I live. I said, where's that? She goes, Norton Commons. I said, oh, shit. I said, I lived in Norton Commons for 3 years.
Right.
I said, see you at Waldo's in 30 minutes. And she goes, okay.
Yeah.
So she shows up. I order a drink, and she goes, just water for me, please. And I looked at her. I go, you don't drink? She goes, no.
Nice.
I was like, oh, hell no, this is not going to work. I don't care how beautiful this girl is. If she doesn't drink, it ain't going to work. Because that was my fun for 20-something years, Chris.
Right.
I mean, that was my fun for 20-something years. And I actually said to her, I go, I don't think this... I even said this to her. This is how much of an asshole I was. I literally said to this woman, God bless her that she's still with me. I don't know how the hell she's still with me. But I said to her, I don't think this is going to work because we just don't like to do the same things. I don't think we're compatible. I literally said that to her. I said, I don't think we're compatible. And her crazy ass stuck around.
Yeah.
But... she was a huge help for me because she supported me. She didn't judge me for the drinking.
Right.
In fact, we used to go out all the time. She would sit there and drink water, and I would drink. But she lovingly kind of said to me, I really think you need to cut back because I see this, and this, right? And I saw what she saw. Like, I'm not an idiot.
Just ignoring it. Yeah.
I saw what she saw. You know, I mean, we would have more fights when I was drinking because my mood would be off, you know, and I recognize that. And honestly, the worst fight we ever had was this drag out yelling at each other back and forth, and I had been drinking all night long. And I'll never forget, I woke up the next day, I was like, this has got to change. Yeah. Like, this has got to change. But, you know, unfortunately, alcohol abuse ran in my family. Yeah. But we are not a product of our family. We are a product of what God empowers us to be. So stop using your past as an excuse to rob you of your future. But, you know, really, I can tell you it was her support was the biggest thing. But I just had to make a decision. Am I going to prioritize how I feel over this alcohol that I'm putting in my body all the time? And that was the big turning point for me. And when I stopped for a couple weeks, I felt so much better. Yeah. Do you know how good it feels to actually wake up on a weekend and not be hungover? Right. Oh my God. I was like, this is what this feels like?
Right.
I'm happy. I'm alert. I have energy. I don't want to sleep in bed half the damn day.
Right.
Like, bro, it was amazing. And again, I got to keep going back to her, but she showed me that there was a lot of things we could do to have fun doing that didn't take alcohol. Sure. You know, we were out for a walk. I actually just moved to Jeffersonville. And we go for a walk on the bridge like all the time because I'm literally at the foot of the bridge. And we went for a walk the other night. We were just walking the bridge at night. And it was beautiful. You know how the bridge is all lit up and everything. And I look at her, I was like, this is fun. She looks at me, she goes, I told you. Yeah. I'm like, I don't need to be sitting at a bar right now. Like, I can have fun and I don't need to be sitting at a bar. But the biggest thing is you have to prioritize yourself, and you have to make. People say, "How do I make change?" You have to make a decision.
Right.
It's as simple but as complex as that. Is you have to make that decision, and you have to just decide that you're going to prioritize your health over the stuff that's temporarily making you feel good. We always make decisions based on we make short-term decisions all the time.
Yep.
I'm gonna have these 6 beers tonight because it's gonna make me feel good now. Mm-hmm. Well, you're gonna feel like shit tomorrow morning when you wake up. So we don't think about that.
Yeah.
And we do. And I used alcohol as medication. I was stressed. I was anxious. And I thought that was the solution, and it only made it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. It was destroying it was a cycle, man.
Yeah.
And it was destroying my relationships. It was affecting my business. Mm-hmm. It was affecting every single area of my life. And she helped me to see that, and again, in a very loving way. Yeah. And no one had ever done that to me before. I dated people who were like, you need to stop drinking, you stupid idiot. And I'd be like, F you. And, you know, I'm going to do what I want.
Right.
But she was really the first person in my life that just said, hey, I love you, and I see this, and I just want to encourage you to start to make a difference, and I'm here for you. And that was the game changer for me. So find you someone like her, and that'll change your life. But I'm not putting her. I'm not telling you what her last name is because
no, I'm just can't come get her.
I can't come get her. But no, that was really the big thing. Yeah. And prayer, bro. Prayer. I mean, you know, the thing I truly believe with prayer, and I you know, I think that we spend far too much time praying, asking God to give us things that He's already promised He's going to give us, right? So, you know, it cracks me out when I hear people say, well, I'm praying for this, but I hope it's God's will. Well, you better know if it's God's will if you're going to pray for it. Because in 1 John, it says if we have confidence in this, that if we ask anything according to His will, we know He hears us and we know He will give us what we ask. So why are you praying blind prayers all the time? Right. Get your butt in the Word of God and find out what God's will is for your life, because then you can confidently pray. So I know God wants me to be healthy. I know God wants me to have money and not be broke. People say, oh, it's a prosperity gospel. Bullshit. Yeah. God doesn't want you broke. Come on. God wants you broke. I mean, God promised Abraham He's going to bless him and make him famous. I mean, you look at some of the people in the Bible that David, and there's so many examples. Yeah. And so we have to know what God's will and desire is for our lives. So you got to get your face and get off the Facebook and get in the book and stop reading what your friends' opinions are all the time and start seeing what God says and then confidently pray. So, you know, my approach to prayer was, God, I know that your will for my life is to kick this habit that has enslaved me for so many years. So I am believing your power is going to help me to overcome this.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I was going to say. So for anybody watching this, because I've caught myself in the same BS, right? The same cycle in my head over and over and over again. You're not powerless.
Right.
You're powerful.
Right.
And that's the exact same word I had in my head, right? You have the Almighty God inside of you, the Holy Spirit. You have His power inside of you, right? So you just make a decision, right?
Yeah.
And then number 2, as I'm hearing you and being able to relate to you and connect that to the audience, right? We've talked about on the show as well that God uses people.
Yes, amen.
Right? So you said something earlier in the show, and I don't know if you connect this dot or not, Probably. If not, I'm going to connect it right now. But you said that I feel like God is calling me into a higher season.
Yes.
Right? I feel like I'm being pulled in this direction.
Yes.
And that I want to be all in, right?
Yeah.
Well, God probably, praying those prayers the correct way, planted Susan in your life.
Oh, I couldn't
because
agree
God
more.
uses people
Yeah.
to challenge you, help you, love you,
You have no
in
idea.
love, right?
You have no idea.
And hold you accountable into the season that God wants you to be in. And that's
Yeah.
100%. I do a
Yeah.
series on the show called Family Matters.
Okay.
Once a month, where Kelsey comes on the show and we talk about us and family and, you know, our journey and all of our crazy kids and all that stuff,
Bro,
right?
I would love to have that discussion with you sometime.
Yeah.
That would be great. How much more time do we have?
Yeah, we got a few more minutes.
Can I just quickly say
Come
one
on.
thing?
Yep.
Let's talk about relationships for a quick second.
Yep.
Because I just want to share this story with people. So I'll never forget when I first met Susan, and I just knew that God had put her in my life, right? And she felt the same way. So I truly felt like when I had met her, I had met the love of my life, right? So you think it's all going to be rosy and great and everything's going to go perfect. We went through 4 months of living freaking hell.
Yeah.
And this goes against everything we believe to be true about things that God has intended for us in our life, right? Because we think it's just going to be, we think it's supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
But God's greatest blessings come with a lot of just stuff behind
You
it.
and I
You know,
have felt
you got
that
to work.
in our own,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
You're going to come back.
But that
yeah.
was so we literally, and she's going to be cracking up when she watches this later. But we went through hell, man, and we had so many. So here's the thing: when I met her, I fell in love with her, but it made me realize I had all these wounds that I hadn't healed. I had all these wounds. I had insecurity. I had people that had, been talking to guys behind my back on social media, and I assumed that she was going to do the same thing to me, and I felt super insecure in the relationship and all this stuff. And I blamed her for all the stuff that everyone else had done to me.
Right.
And she even said that to me. She goes, "Will you stop blaming me for everything everyone's done to you?" And again, this woman was the most loving. And so I just want to encourage people that are watching this that just because the relationship is hard doesn't mean it's not worth it.
Right.
You have to decide if it's worth it. Is it worth fighting for?
Right.
And that was the thing for us. And I can tell you that when you put in the work and you go through the hard stuff and you heal the wounds, we are in a place now. Literally this morning we looked at each other and like, this is like the best place we've ever been in. And I didn't think we could get here. I'm not gonna lie. I did not think we'd get here. But be willing to go. My two advice for relationships: be willing to go through the hard stuff because God's got you, and pray and wait, and don't try to get ahead of God. Abraham did that, and it caused an entire nation of people to be born that are still impacting our world today. When we get ahead of God, we can ruin God's blessings in our life. And so I was single for about 2 years before I met her. And I've never stayed that single long in my life, but I just believed it was the right thing to do.
Right.
But for those that might be listening to this that are anxious to meet someone, just know that your anxiousness can get in between what God really has for you.
Yep.
And stop going out searching. Get the heck off those stupid dating apps, man. I'm serious. Just ask God to bring you the right person and trust that He will. It's as simple as that. I know it takes a lot of trust to do that. Yeah, I get it.
Right.
But stop going to bars and finding drunk people all the time and that only care about one thing, and stop going on the stupid dating apps. And because I see all my friends posting on Facebook all the time. All these guys only want one thing. Yes, you're 100% right. Most of them do.
In the spots where they are.
Right. And that's
Those
why,
guys.
and that's exactly why, rather than doing it on your own, you ask God. It's not,
Right.
People, some people say, I've heard this one guy said to me, "Oh, prayer is, it's a crutch." You're damn right it's a crutch because I can't do anything without Him. So when I involve God in my life, that's when everything goes really well.
Right.
It's when I don't that my life becomes chaos. So I have learned that I have to lean on Him for everything in every area of my life.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'll shut up.
No, you're good, man. This has been so good. Again, we could talk all day.
Absolutely,
Can't
man.
wait to have you back on the show.
Absolutely, would love
There's
to.
a lot of things in the works for both of us.
Yeah. I'm actually writing my first book right now.
Nice.
Yeah, I had a publisher reach out to me. We're actually starting with a devotional because I was hesitant to write a full-out book because I'm really busy right now. And he came to me and he said, "How about a 30-day devotional?" I said, "Okay, I can do that." So
See, that's a good word for me because that's been on my mind, right? Mom is finishing up her book.
yeah.
And she's almost done with it. And crossed my mental like a few times, and I'm like, nah, I don't have anything to offer, right?
Come on, bro.
And it's like,
come on,
maybe
I know how much you have to offer.
maybe one day, right?
Yeah.
But no, man. So you kind of alluded to it at the beginning. Let's bookend it. People watching this, listening to this, how can they get a hold of you with more questions?
Yeah, my website's supereasyketofatloss.com. I have a free ebook that people can download that is my condensed plan on how to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. That's at lose30poundseasy.com. So the free ebook is at lose30poundseasy.com. The website is supereasyketofatloss.com. That's where all my programs to look up coaching and all that stuff. And you can follow me on social media on Instagram and TikTok. I am the Sean Christopher, and then on Facebook I'm just Sean Christopher.
Yeah.
But yeah, would love to have people join along and just give me the honor of speaking into your life and helping you to live a longer, healthier, more fulfilled life and live the life that God has for you, because we got to stop listening to the lies from the enemy all the time. And he's stealing your relationships, he's stealing your health, he's stealing everything from you. And it's about time you put your foot down and know that you got the power of God in you and say enough is enough. I'm taking my life back because I can do it with God's help. So
let's go.
Love y'all.
Love it. Love it. So we're going to end with, again, shouting out Community Land Title, full service land title and escrow settlement provider, here to protect your real estate investments. When you work with their knowledgeable team, you will be guided through the process in a transparent and timely way. Shout out to Community Land. And just as I end every episode, want to tell you as well, you have a gift. It's time to grow in it.